The Cold Hard Truth now has your Premier access with Premier Panton.
Hello everyone, this is Wayne Panton. Come and join me on Cayman Mar Road's Premier Access every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. for a frank and open Q&A session. I'm here to answer your questions about the issues that concern you the most. Tune into YouTube and Facebook Live on Wednesday. We will see you there.
Full transparency, answering your questions, down to earth, accountable, and accessible to who matters. You. Don't miss Premier Access on The Cold Hard Truth, spilling the tea like no one else.
Good evening, beautiful people. How are you guys doing? Happy Wednesday. What's going on? We are here live and direct. I'm just trying to pull up one little thing here for you guys. We are waiting on the Premier. He just messaged to say that he's en route to be able to call into the show. So he'll be joining us here shortly. Constituency matters come first, obviously. So he was dealing with a constituent, and he's now going to go and get all set up to be able to join us here in just a bit. So in the meantime, you and I can chat. What's been going on in Lookout Gardens, y'all? I don't know what's going on, but someone messaged earlier to say that they had heard of some commotion down in that area. Oh gosh, sorry. But I wasn't able to actually get anything solid other than someone said that they had heard that there, oh my goodness, sorry, that there were some bikes, those illegal bikes racing up and down. And those bikes apparently were being chased by the police. I haven't heard if that ended in some sort of an incident, but I do know that there was some police presence, some sirens and so forth in the area. So we're going to keep an eye on that story for you and see what's going on. Good evening, Wee Wee. Thank you for joining us. Tommy is also here. So nice to see you guys. So every other Wednesday, we have Premier Access with Premier Panton, and he comes on the show. It's basically an open Q&A, which, by the way, don't forget that you can, let me just put up the phone number here. You guys can join the program by now calling in to the program. So the telephone number is 936-BOBO, 936-2626. And you can still use the usual link to also call into the program that way as well, if you choose to. So in a bit, we will have him on. I'm trying to think what else I need to tell you about calling in. It's really easy to call in, folks. You guys know this already. So, of course, we've got a number of different topics slated for discussion, but it is a bit of an open mic. So, whatever comes up during the conversation comes up. So if you have a question, please do not hesitate to join the program. We'd love to have you guys, send your questions in. So there's quite a bit on the table that's happening around the world. There's a big UN session that happened earlier today, as you guys saw. So that's super exciting. And we're all keeping an eye, obviously, on that situation as well. What a thing, I tell you. It's quite shocking. So we have had a death in the Cayman Islands. Let me just get you her name here. This lady I know has been sick for quite some time, actually. So we just wanted to extend our condolences to her family. It's so sad. Deborah Johnson. I don't know if you guys know Miss Deborah, but a lot of you might, has passed away. 59 years old, unfortunately. Has one son, Aaron Bush, and Camellia Bush and Aaron Bush are her only grandchildren. And I know that they actually live overseas. So I'm sure that they will be coming back here shortly for any services that are going to be had. So we extend our condolences to her family. Very, very sad situation, obviously. And I'll show you a picture of Deborah just in case. There's Deborah. So our thoughts go out to uh, Deborah, Deborah's family this evening. Um, yeah, so sad. I guess it's something we all have to deal with, but it never makes it easy saying that for sure, right? Okay. I know you guys see on our Facebook page and an Instagram what's trending right now is a lady who's taken an inappropriate shower on her beach. We'll talk about that in the morning. Child, I don't even want to get into that story. Is her grandson here, Jamila? The grandson is here. I thought he was. Oh, did he come for? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's why I love you guys because you're keeping me in the loop. Good night, Miss Doreen. Cameron is here. Sanya, so good to see you. Wee, yes, extending condolences to that entire family. Let me just see here. So we've got some conversations here, folks, with the premiere. So do let me know if there's anything. You can call in on video. You can call in through the phone lines now. We were actually testing, somebody mentioned earlier today, and thank you guys for, that we're trying to figure out the board a little bit still. And so it was great to have someone mention to me this morning, which I hadn't heard, that when we had the caller from this morning show, it actually announced their phone number. So I was like, that's weird because we actually didn't have that happen before. I thought, well, that's a bit unusual. So I was on it trying to figure out why that happened, and lo and behold, it was a bit of a quirky situation. We discovered that when someone calls, because you can call through WhatsApp as well, because it's a physical phone. No, her grandson isn't here, Jamila. I better start getting that name right now. I had Jamila saved in my phone with an extra I between the L and the I. So that's why I've been mispronouncing her name all this time. So yes, this astute listener caught that the number was like 345, whatever's calling you. And I thought, well, that didn't happen the last time that people called, but it's because this caller actually called through WhatsApp. And there's some kind of setting. Actually, Jamila helped me discover exactly where it was. There's a setting on the iPhone where you have to turn it off because it'll announce calls. But oddly enough, I've never heard it do that. And I've had that phone for, a minute. I've never heard it do that before, which is kind of weird. But it was only doing it to WhatsApp calls. So Jamila, Christy, and some others, Cindy, we got on the calls and we were able to test it out and discovered that it was only happening with WhatsApp calls, but it's a feature that I could turn off. So now it's been fixed. And if somebody was saved in my phone, it was actually announcing their name. Oh, Jamila is calling. And then it would say WA business, which is WhatsApp business. So it was kind of weird. Yes, the premiere's coming. We're just giving him a little bit of time to get situated. So yes, you can now call in to the program and feel free to do so. The number's going across your screen. 936-2626. Super easy number. I wanted to get a really easy number to remember. So that's that. And we got that little quirk figured out in the system as well. The other thing that we discovered, which is kind of interesting, is that we can actually do multiple calls, like multiple callers on the same call. So you know how you have like three-way? We actually had, I think we had Cindy, we had Jamila, we had Christy, and we had, who else? I thought it was a fourth person. We either had like 4 or 5 people on the call. So I kind of wonder, how many people can you have join in? Is there a limit? There must be a limit. But I don't know. So maybe we need to test that out and see. Yeah, that was pretty cool to discover that we could do that. So me just see here. So we've got a caller. Look at that. Somebody's calling in. Let me put on my headset so I can hear who it is. Woohoo! Okay. Good evening. How are you?
Hello, good evening, Miss Sandra.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I see you guys post a video of us, our family. We were washing off at the beach.
Oh, that was you at the beach.
Yes.
Oh
Could
my
you guys remove
gosh.
that because it was more than one of us naked, and somebody just do not like us, and they video
Oh,
us.
why would you be
So
naked at the beach though? Did you not think that that was like not the thing to do?
no, it's just that our clothes was full of sand,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not us alone, But somebody just to oh, we are black, they videos.
Well, I hate to tell you,
Because,
right? Because I've gotten
because
quite a few messages about this. I'm pretty sure the people who were recording you are also black, so I don't think that that's the issue.
no,
But
but
people,
some white people was beside us, naked more than us. Even naked, stripped down naked.
really? Because I saw more than one. There's another angle to this video.
Yeah, but the video what they want to video because they was picking a fight with us and we said, and I said to my wife, do not say anything to anybody, just come, let's go.
Mhm.
And I was like, just come, do not say anything to anybody
Mhm.
because we're not from here. So
Yeah.
come, let's go.
Well, I tell you what, I think it's one of those situations that maybe it's a cultural misunderstanding, right? Because somebody says, people go to river and they do this sort of thing all the time.
Yeah.
In the Cayman Islands, this is I can't tell you how people felt about this. They were like, "What is this?" I kind of contemplated whether to even put it up, to be honest, because I saw it and I was like, yeah, this is
No.
just it's no one wants to see a naked person on the beach. And you know what? Some years ago, there was another guy, but I think he actually had some mental health issues, who was at the beach for about an hour taking a bath and scrubbing his private parts. And at the
Yeah.
time, we had put that up as well. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's a little bit crazy. But I think in his case, he's not all functional. Obviously,
Yeah.
thank you for calling in, explaining, from your perspective what has gone on. But I think, yeah, a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah, because even when they were saying no, 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 we said all right. We put
So
on
people
our
said
clothes
something
and
to you at the
we
beach?
move. I don't hear.
No, did people actually say something to you at the time while you were at the beach?
Yeah, because we were there and as I said something, we said, all right, babes, let's go to the bathroom here and put on back our clothes because we have a problem with it. Because even I had a lady even take off his children's clothes and was there washing them off because through the sun, the beach was so rough. I was like, the water here low. And couldn't wash us off. So it was like saying, just take our clothes quick and wash off and go. But come
All
on,
right.
you can't
Well,
post that video all over Facebook.
Well, here's the problem, right? I'm going to be completely frank with you that unfortunately, when you do things in public, it's kind of fair game with people recording it. This is why certain things you don't do in public, because once you're in a public space, people are going to share it and they're going to record it.
I know, but you guys have to be careful what you post. You guys have to be careful.
Yeah, but you got to be careful what you do in public. That's what I would respond to you and say.
Yeah, we know because if there was like a sign was there, like you could not do that.
Yeah, well, I don't listen. There's not a sign that says you can't walk in public. You can't walk naked down the middle of town either. But you kind of know that you can't do that, right?
Yeah. We know we can't do that because we use Southtown Beach and
which beach was this, by the way? This is public beach.
In West Bay.
This is the one in West Bay.
Near Seafire.
The public beach.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Public beach near Seafire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you please to remove the video, please, and thanks.
Well, I'm gonna have a think about it. I'm gonna see what other people think since you've called in, and I do appreciate the call as well because.
Please and thanks. Just remove it and just call it a day. We're sorry about it. It's just. Yeah, and we have family members too, you know, looking at and say, hey, oh, yeah, anybody will have feel away.
All right. Well, let's see what people think. We're gonna see how people feel about it. I'll take some comments, but thank you for the call.
Could just please remove it, please and thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have a think about it.
Just please.
Okay.
Don't think about it. Just please remove it.
I have to think about it. What do you mean? Don't think about it. All right. Let me see what people feel about the situation. We already have some people messaging saying no, don't remove it because it's going to be a reminder to everybody else not to do it.
Sandra, just please remove it. Just remove it. I'm asking you. That's why I say just remove it.
All right. I'm going to think about it. That's what I'm going to commit to right now. And we'll see. All right, my dear. All right. So WhatsApp messages says that's not K-Man. WTF, you need a sign. Dirty, whatless, low life nastiness. Do not remove it. Expose their nastiness. They should have thought about that before they did it. Yikes. The ugly truth that I call BS is uncultured, animalistic behavior. Cameron trying to get Dart in the mix. Leave Dart alone. Dart is like, I'm sick of y'all calling my name and everything. Dart says this not got nothing to. Oh, did he run out of credit? Is that what that was? Dart is going to say he has nothing to do with this. He's already built these super small cabanas. Maybe those little cabanas could be shower stalls now. Maybe we could convert those into shower stalls. CC says, well, she's the one that did it in public. So what's the difference if it's on social media? What a hot mess. Yeah, folks, I don't know. Natural common sense, says CC, should tell you that kids are present. And this is what happened a couple years ago when the other guy was there scrubbing. But mind you, he actually never took off his clothes. It's just that he was there scrubbing underneath his shorts for like an hour. And I was like, what the heck is this guy doing? And we posted it. And then later on, people said, oh, I don't think he's playing with a full deck. And, you know, there are people who actually use our public beaches to shower because they don't necessarily have shower facilities at home. I don't think this is what was going on, but I don't really know why she was taking off her clothes. Listen, we all go to the beach, you get sandy and stuff, and you want to have a shower off. That's why the free water is there. But do you not wear like a bathing suit and like a t-shirt or something where you can kind of pull it and shower and you still get all the sand off? Why she needed to go that direction, I'm a little bit confused. So Cameron says Caymanians don't need to be careful. Anybody who supports the effery is who needs to be careful. Amen. Irvlin says take it down. KK says that's not how it goes. Charlene says you've got to know how to act in public. Cece says you should have never do it. Alice was at the beach and saw everything. So Alice, tell the truth now, because I'm sure this wasn't no white people taking no video. Who was taking? You don't have to tell me who, but I bet you it was a Caymanian videoing this because they were in such shock. So Irvlin says he's being nice to take it down. All right, after the premiere is probably sitting there going, "What the hell are y'all talking about now? What hot mess of a situation is CMR up to? You know, Premiere, you're late 10 minutes and all hell breaks loose before you come on the program." But the good news is we get to shift gears now with Premiere Access. Maria, that's not even what we're talking about. We're going to shift gears. Charlene says, did you think of your personal family privacy at the time? Yeah, you just don't do certain things in public. Andine is on. Andine says, "Oh, he was nice and he made a mistake. Let's take it down." Okay, all right. Evelyn is going hard. She says, "Yes, take it down, take it down." Alice says, "I know I wear glasses, but I'm deaf blind now." Oh, poor you. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right, let me have a think about it. I did promise him I would think about it, and during the show, I'll be thinking about it as we're speaking to the premiere. Okay, now let's mentally shift gears, folks. Alice says that was the worst sight I have ever seen. Oh my gosh, Alice. Oh my God. Okay, he's here. He's here, Ugly Truth. Let's bring the premiere on the program. Let's play the promo one more time now that we've gone completely sideways.
The Cold Hard Truth now has your premiere access with Premier Panton.
Hello everyone, this is Wayne Panton. Come and join me on Cayman Road's Premier Access every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. for a frank and open Q&A session. I'm here to answer your questions about the issues that concern you the most. Tune into YouTube and Facebook Live on Wednesday. We will see you there.
Full transparency, answering your questions, down to earth, accountable, and accessible to who matters. You. Don't miss Premier Access on the Cold Hard Truth, spilling the tea like no one else.
All right, folks. Good evening, Premier Panton. How are you?
I'm all right, Sandra. First of all, let me say that it is again a pleasure to be here with you and with all of your viewers, be able to discuss the issues that are relevant and that people are concerned with. And let me also apologize for my delay in coming on, and I'm gonna partly blame you, Sandra, because
Okay.
I was going to do this from my office in Savannah, but then I thought, no, Sandra has told me that the camera in the office in Savannah is not an HD camera and the video quality is not great. So I said, you know what? Let me go down to the office because I know the one down there is good. So I promise you that I'm going to get a good HD camera for the one in the office in Savannah, so that I won't be late for that reason coming on again.
Yes,
but,
we
really
appreciate
happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
I caught a couple of minutes of whatever you were talking about. It sounded like a lot more than just hot tea. And I probably don't want to know any more than that right now.
Yes, I trust me. I'm monitoring the comments about whether or not to take it down, and I'm going to have a mental note. And at the end of the show, I'll make a decision. So
I still don't know what you're talking about. I haven't looked at
let's just leave it at that. Trust me. I don't know if your eyes can handle it, Premier Panton. So listen, it's been a couple of weeks now since we've heard from you. You missed, I think, one session, and there's been a lot going on. So, the first question I want to ask you, because I know you've been not just busy constituency running the country, but on a personal level, a lot has been going on. So we just want to ask, how are you? We're all human beings. We all have tough periods. I know you've been dealing with some tough issues and stuff in the constituency. Your brother was not well. How is Perry doing? How's your family doing?
Yeah, it has been, it has been a tough number of weeks now. My brother, thanks for asking, is doing amazingly well. I know there was a lot of people praying for him. It was just incredible to see, to go from the experience of seeing him in the middle of basically having a heart attack on the the intensive care sort of trauma room, to having him do an emergency bypass surgery operation, and then seeing him go home less than a week later. It was incredible. There was obviously a lot of mixed emotions. There was still concern. there was a lot of relief. You know, just a sense of happiness that, you know, he was really lucky, and we're
Mm,
really lucky to have him still with us. I, you know, I always, I used to tell my dad when he was a certain age, I realized that I needed, every time I talked to him, I needed to tell him that I loved him.
mm-hmm.
And, and then, you know, I do that with my mom now. You know, my mom's at getting up in age as well, although she's still one of these tough Caymanians that, you know, she's a fantastic Caymanian lady. And, but every time I talk to her, I try not to um, close off without saying I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized the other day that I didn't do it nearly enough with with other members of my family. And now, you know, when I talk to my brother, I
Mm-hmm.
I I I tell him the same thing, because we just never know when something is going to happen. It could be just an
Absolutely.
accident. You know, it could be something, some sort of medical emergency. But I appreciate all the care and concern that people have had, and, you know, the support that they have provided to him and to the family in terms of prayers and well wishes. So yeah, so I
Mm-hmm.
think he's doing amazingly well, and it's just incredible that we have the capacity here now to address these types of issues, where in the past it may have meant people not surviving, you know.
Mm,
So Cayman has come a long ways. You know, we've got a lot of capacity here to address
absolutely.
um, cardiac issues in more than one hospital now. We only have one, I think, that can do the open heart surgery
Mhm.
with the bypass surgery. So it's just incredible that, you know, we've come a long ways, and Cayman is all the better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, when we heard the news, we were, so shocked. But as you said, I think he was at obviously the best facility, not just here in the Cayman Islands, but, in the Caribbean, and definitely top in the world, to get the best possible heart care. So it all makes us think about our own health and,
Absolutely, absolutely.
the things that we all need to be doing to probably be in a little bit of a better position than we are. So continued prayers and well wishes
Thank you.
to your brother and the entire family.
Thank you very much. Of course, um, it was no small irony that, um, you know, it was my brother that called me, the same brother that called me and told me about a situation that was happening in my constituency. Um,
Mhm.
and, you know, we suffered a tremendous loss there with a young lady, and you know the story, and it's just the whole thing has just been very, very difficult
Mhm.
for them, and it's, you know, it's difficult for all of us as a community, as people, as friends, you know, and it's one of these things that we're constantly working towards, trying to avoid this sort of thing happening, and and hoping that will never be experienced with by other parents. Um, but it does, and, you know,
Mhm.
it's a very difficult thing. So so we've had a really rough, probably 4 weeks.
Yes.
I've got a cousin who was just diagnosed with acute leukemia as well,
Oh my gosh.
and just lost a very close family friend a few days ago. Um, Uncle Derek Bogle. He's not really my uncle, but you know how we are.
Hmm.
He's he has been he was a very he was like one of my father's best friends, if not his best friend, and, you know, he's been like a father to me as well. And I you know, he's really well known in the community. He loved life, and, you know, he was well respected, and it was just really difficult to lose him as well. So
Mm.
it's just one of these things, you know. The older you get, the more you start losing people that you love, and it's all the more reason to remind them what they mean to you. It's no good, telling them over their casket. Tell them now.
Mhm.
Tell them while they're
Mhm.
alive how much they mean to you, and what they mean to you.
Mhm.
And it's something that I have been trying to do more and more over the years, and I encourage everyone to do it. It's not being sensitive and showing that you care is not a sign of weakness; it's a sign of strength. I think.
Mhm.
Um, some people sort of see it the
Yeah.
other way, but yeah, you know, we all have to really start looking after ourselves, look after each other, and it's something that we take very seriously in government. We have a ministry of health and wellness,
Mhm.
and when Minister Turner came along a few days after the formation of the ministries and said she wanted to change the name to include wellness, I said no, that's 100% appropriate. Let's go with it. Um,
Mhm.
and we've started challenging each other, particularly over the last week or so. We've started challenging each other to see what it is we're prepared to do, to what changes we're prepared to make in our lives in order to make a difference to our own health. Um,
Mm.
and it's if we hold each other accountable, and we're actually helping each other, it's a great favor, um, to deal with each other in that way. And at the end of the day, it makes us better, stronger, healthier leaders. And it's just one of the big difficulties about being in a leadership position is trying to find the right balance.
Mhm.
It's sometimes you can get tied up, you can get distracted, or you can be full on something, some issue that has to get resolved. Um, you know, this person or this person or this group of people need to have a solution, or a resolution of their issue, and you can forget about yourself. You can forget about your own health, and we're trying to change that. We're trying to sort of encourage each other, hold each other accountable,
Mhm.
and in the, there was a colleague that I had in the last time I was in government who smoked, and I spent a lot of time harassing that individual, trying to get him to stop. They eventually stopped, and I have another colleague who, let's just say, has been subjected now to the same sort of harassment. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's probably not appreciated. That's
Mhm.
okay. It's not, I'm not doing it because I want to be appreciated. I'm doing it because I care about their health.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's just something that, we all need to be doing. We all need to be looking after each other, and
Absolutely.
constructively helping each other
Yeah.
manage and get the balance right.
Yeah. And of
So
course, the deputy governor has his 5K event that's coming up, which I know a lot of civil servants enjoy participating in that and getting a bit more active. Oh my goodness, sorry. Sorry. Will you be participating in that event?
I'm planning on actually doing the walk.
Okay.
Um, Believe it or not, if you don't walk that sort of distance regularly, it
Mhm.
is a challenge, and you're going to feel it.
Absolutely.
You're definitely going to feel it that day. You're going to feel it 100% worse the next day. So I am planning. I've got a group of friends that, um, you know, I owe them a couple of days. We've had these plans to start walking, at least 3 times a week, to talk about issues while we're walking and try to get through, some discussions. And I think if we can do that constructively, while we're getting exercise, that's a great thing.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm going to show you something here.
Have you
I
lost a
have a
few
desk.
pounds?
I have a desk at work that I can
Oh, you
lift
have a
up.
standing desk. Oh,
I can
yes, I'm
stand.
using mine
Yes, I
as
have a
well.
standing desk, so I
Very
can
good.
spend.
Well,
I can
stand up
spend
during the
time.
show. I'm going to challenge you to stand up for the rest of the show
Yeah. All right. Fine with
because
me.
I'm standing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
good.
I
That's
I
good. Let's
use
challenge each other. You're going
yes,
to.
this is
You might see
fantastic.
me shifting around a little bit, but
That's okay. That's why sometimes people see me moving as well because I need
yeah. Yeah.
to kind of balance the weight
No.
on both sides.
So
But
I mean,
you know what
this
is
is
so
another
funny
example
is
of just trying to
every little thing.
yeah, and one of the things I've committed to doing is I'm going to start wearing a Fitbit again, and I'm going to add
Nice.
at least 5,000 steps a day,
As your
in
goal.
addition to what I regularly do, and I'm going to I probably half the week I walk from the basement up to the
Hmm.
top, but I sort of feel sorry sometimes for the two individuals that sit right inside the door that I enter through from the staircase, because when I come in through there after walking 6 flights of stairs and carrying a
Hmm.
bag that weighs about 30 pounds, I'm sounding sort of like that. So I think
Listen, every little bit helps, and I must say that I always tell people this. A lot of people don't realize that in the morning I'm standing up. Probably 99% of my shows I actually stand because I'm like, listen, I was flat sleeping all night.
that's
Why do I
right.
need to sit down? And we know that this sedentary lifestyle, in particular, sitting at a desk, is
That's it.
really not good for us.
No,
And
no.
so I stand for my show. And actually, in fact, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I've upgraded my standing desk because I had a really big one that was too cumbersome. And then Marlon kind of got me a really small one that wasn't quite the right fit. And I found one that's a bit perfect for all the equipment I have. And so, yeah, I stand most of the shows that I do. And I figure, it's not like I'm running a marathon, but I figure every little bit helps.
That's right.
Recently I've been doing pickleball and I went and did a pickleball lesson last weekend and running up and down that court for half an hour. Trust me, afterwards, I felt really, really good. So I think we're all getting that middle age spread and it keeps spreading further out. But more importantly, our hearts are not taken too kindly to, some of our lifestyle habits. And let's not forget, people might remember this, but your former opponent in Newlands, Alva Saku, had shared with us how he had a near-death experience. And Alva used to smoke and
Yeah. Yeah.
had some not so healthy habits, although he was
Yeah.
on the slimmer side. And don't let size fool you, because sometimes you can be carrying more weight and actually be healthier than your slimmer counterparts, right? And
Yeah.
Alva, discovered that he had a blockage that was set to kill him if a keen doctor didn't say, "Let me run one more test." And that one more test ended up saving his life. And I know that immediately he stopped smoking, because smoking is a killer no matter how you cut it. So I'm glad to hear that, because I've always wondered about this wellness component of the health ministry that has been added. And I would love to see all MPs do a challenge. Today is Ash Wednesday, obviously. So a
Hmm.
lot of people are giving up something for Lent as well. So my husband has made an announcement that he's giving up meats, just seafood and vegetables for his 40 days. Are you going to be giving anything up?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a list of the things that I have agreed that um, I would give up. I mean, I don't eat a lot of this type of stuff, but
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you. Geez, there's so much conversation on this chat now. But anyway, it basically I'm planning on adding the 5,000 steps that I mentioned.
Okay.
I am going to give up bread. I'm going to give up
Mm-hmm.
red meat. I don't eat a lot of red meat,
Mm-hmm.
but that really what that means is I am going to basically try to eat as much vegetables as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'll only eat a small amount of fish, for example,
Mm-hmm.
to get protein. So those are things that I think. Geez, I'm trying to find the full list here that I think are worth doing for our own health. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know Alva was a good example. My brother, he probably won't mind me saying, but he was what I would call a closet smoker. My father smoked a lot of his life, and I spent a lot of time um, I spent a lot of time sort of uh, arguing with him about stopping smoking.
Mm,
Um, and my brother, for some reason, he developed some sort of smoking habit, but he didn't. It wasn't something he did publicly very much.
mm, mm-hmm,
But I have no doubt that that contributed to his current health issues.
mm-hmm.
And yes, I joke that I'm 6'1" and tons of fun and all that. But it is it is still an issue. I mean, I'm if you go by the doctors, the sort of the normal standards that they have, it is I would be described as morbidly obese. And the truth is, many of the people I know would be described in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is something that we have to change. I'm not sure that I'm ever going to get to a position where if I'm 225 pounds, trust me, I'm going to look a heck of a lot different. I'm going to look very, very slim. Um, but I'm never going to get back to 185 pounds. I just don't see that happening. But
Well,
that's
never say never. I've
that's what
seen
the
some miracles.
doctors will tell you. Oh, at your height, you should be 185 pounds.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be there. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the 5,000
Okay.
steps, no bread, no red meat. I'm
Sherry
going
Ann
to
says you need to give up rice as well. Does she know something about you and rice, or is that just a
no
general
rice.
comment?
She's right about rice. Anything with anything
Yes.
that's
Processed
white,
white flour. Yeah.
white rice, anything with white
Pasta.
flour. So
Pasta's
that's the
hard.
ticket.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to get some. One of the things that I'm really bad at is getting sufficient sleep. So I'm going to try
Me
to get some
too. Oh my God.
additional sleep. I'm going to try to
Yeah.
um,
I feel you.
decompress a bit. Spend 30 minutes decompressing and reading something that doesn't specifically relate to work,
Mm-hmm.
um, so that I get the benefit of um, of reading and having some quiet time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that adds a lot to your health as well. So
Absolutely.
I'm encouraging, and we're encouraging the country to try to take a different approach and try to find ways to be more healthy. And I know it's difficult, right? Life
Mm-hmm.
life can take you in all kinds of directions,
Absolutely.
and sometimes it's really hard to think about yourself and think about your own health. Um, but you've got to make it a priority. And I
Yep.
think that's we're trying to do that here. Um, and I think that this is I hope that we'll be in a position where we end up reflecting a good example for the people of the country.
Absolutely. Well, Evelyn is going to be giving up alcohol and red meat, two big ones. And she says she enjoys doing hot yoga. It's a good way to
Yeah.
detox. Oh God, I've tried hot yoga before. Whew. Cameron says she's going to give up CMR. Good luck, Cameron. I don't see that one happening. Cameron
That
goes
video
on.
must be really powerful for your health that she wants to give
I
up
know.
CMR.
She says, tell Anna one thing. Sandy has been consistent for years, every morning entertaining the masses. All right. Well, we can do this, folks. I'm supposed to be on a 50 by 50 journey anyway, where I'm supposed to lose 50 pounds by the time I'm 50. That's the plan. And I'm still committed to it. And I think this is a good way to kind of start something. So here's what I'm going to give up. I'm giving up sodas completely and 90% juices. So I'll do my occasional iced
So what you're
tea.
saying is you're going to give up sugars.
Man, sugars is hard because everything has sugar in it.
Yeah, but the juices are really
I
high in sugar.
I
And of
know,
course
I
sodas
know.
are as
And
well.
yes,
And
I
and
know. They're not much better for you than sodas, to be
well,
honest.
so let me tell you,
Um,
a year ago, over a year ago now, November November 2020, I gave up drinking sodas. Stopped drinking sodas cold turkey. Um,
wow.
I haven't had a soda since.
Wow. Okay.
And I I think you know I just need to build on that. I need
Yes.
to I I need to start taking out the other things in my diet that represent sugar, too much sugar.
Yep.
Um, too much of the processed starches, cassava and breadfruit and sweet potato, things like that in moderation. Those are good. Those are complex starches. It's the white rice and the white bread and anything with white flour. Those are the things you gotta get rid of. So, yeah, Sandra, we're gonna get this
We can
done.
do it. I have
We're
faith.
gonna stand through this show, and we're gonna
Absolutely.
challenge each other to accomplish these
All
things,
right.
and hopefully,
I have faith. Now
we'll-
sodas are really addictive, but I find that if I don't buy them, that's the key for me. So, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm giving up for.
Well, I bought
No
just
Pepsi.
before I stopped drinking them. I bought a 24 pack of the branded ones with the coat of arms on it,
Yes.
and I stuck them in a fridge in my pool house, and I look at them every day or every other day, and I look at them and I think, no, those cans are too pretty to open them up.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I never
I
touch
do
them.
have a few of those hidden in the cupboard as well, but they're collector's items, so I'm
Yeah,
not
I never
touching.
touch them.
Yeah,
Never touch them.
not
So
touching those either.
that's the temptation. Once that temptation is there and you can avoid it, you're okay with it.
Absolutely. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Cameron is anxious to talk about some other things. So
Sure.
Cameron is a bit skeptical about whether or not we will be able to maintain any of the things. But Cameron, we're going to try. Nothing beats a what's the saying? Nothing beats
a
a
trial but a failure.
exactly. So we're gonna give it a good shot, and we're gonna keep each other accountable. And that's the thing too. If you have someone keeping you accountable, that's where it makes a big difference. So speaking of accountability, Premier, do we have a code of conduct yet to keep MPs accountable? How are we coming along with that?
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to adjust this
Sure, no problem.
camera a little bit. So I have circulated a draft of the code of conduct amongst the members of the caucus, the government caucus. I've also circulated it amongst the members of the Parliamentary Management Council. So that is the council that is sort of like the board of directors that manages the affairs of Parliament. So that is on the agenda. The draft is there with them for us to discuss. There are a couple of things that we may want to consider adding. In the UK, for example, this has been a live issue that has been under discussion for some time, and they are trying to find ways to put more teeth in the code of conduct that they have. And that's something that I'm trying to figure out how we do that here as well.
Right.
Because as it is, we don't have any clear mechanisms through which you could have real teeth, real impact. So in the UK, for example, I can't remember whether they have done it or they're proposing to do it, a provision which would enable a disciplinary committee to or the whole house. I can't remember which one, how the vote would work, but basically you could be suspended, or you could be effectively expelled or ejected, and no longer be a member of Parliament. Now, constitutionally, that's something that doesn't work here currently, because we don't have a mechanism in the Constitution or in the elections law which could do anything like that. But the point is just to make it very clear that there is an expectation of very high standards for members of Parliament, and anyone really to do with a senior leadership position in government, and that there is a level of conduct, there is a moral standing that they should try to adhere to. That is something that we've got the draft there. The draft is going to be discussed. Probably, I think the next scheduled meeting is I think it's about in a week and a half. So we'll be having a discussion about that at the council. and then effectively it gets discussed by everybody in Parliament. You know, it'll have to go to a um, probably it may go to a select committee. We may do a select committee on it, um, or we may just table it and have an open debate on it in Parliament and have a vote. But either way, the draft has been prepared. Um, we have added some additional things from the first version that that we were working on over the last couple of months, and I'm hoping that we can progress that before the middle of this year and get that in place.
Okay, sounds good. I guess along the accountability vein, world affairs. So there is quite a bit that is obviously happening in the world as it relates to Russia and Ukraine. We saw your post, Premier Panton, where obviously the Cayman Islands has taken a position on this. And, in my opinion, it's the only position to take, and that's on the side of the right thing to do. We
Yeah.
have raised our flag at the Cayman Islands government administration building. And there was also a photo of you with the governor and Minister Brian holding the Ukrainian flag and showing your support for the people of Ukraine. Can you just tell us a little bit of what your thoughts are on this current situation? And there are some concerns about what Cayman is doing, what sanctions we have in place against Russia, and then
Yeah.
if there's anything that the government can do to kind of shield us or protect us from the financial fallout, which will no doubt be massive from what we can see from the increase in fuel alone.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll recall that in my first press statement on it, there we go, the picture's up. Um, you know, just quickly about that, it probably looks to most people like a genuine Ukrainian flag, but we couldn't find one. We didn't have one here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we set our very talented and resourceful staff the task of finding material with the right colors as quickly as possible to get the flag made. So that flag was made. I think it took about a day and a half or 2 days to get it made, source the material, get it made, and so we're flying it, and we're flying it in solidarity with the country of Ukraine. I think we all probably agree that it is a very unfortunate situation in this day and age. Particularly in Europe, where we've had two world wars, we've had conflicts over the centuries, of course, but we would hope that civilization these days and the geopolitical constructs that exist with the UN and other bodies would help to avoid this sort of situation. But whenever you have someone who seems to feel like they're immune from any kind of controls within their own country, they have eliminated effectively eliminated freedom of the press, substantially control the press. They control the message that goes out. I think that creates a situation where, it's a very dangerous situation where an individual can pursue whatever their agenda is, no matter how wrong or irrational or inappropriate. And the people of Ukraine are all suffering. Innocent people are suffering because of the desire of a if it's not one person, it's a desire of a very limited number of persons to to control the territory, control the resources of an adjoining country, and it's just not appropriate. It's not. War is never the solution to these issues, and there is no legitimate issue. This is not an issue of, there's a rebellion going on, and there are, there are incursions in across the border and causing the death of Russians. The rebellion that was going on in the Ukraine related to Russian-supported rebels who were trying to push back against the legitimate government of Ukraine. So there really is no justification for this at all. There's nothing plausible which supports the rationale that he should move ahead with something like this.
And obviously, the UN has taken a position today that we were watching earlier here on CMR to support Ukraine as well. And I know the Cayman Islands via the UK has already put some measures in place. Are we going to be doing anything else in terms of freezing assets, or?
Let me just explain the way that works, right?
Okay.
There is historically there's been mechanisms through which the UK, as a participant in these various international bodies, would adopt sanctions, and those sanctions would get extended to Cayman. Historically, I believe there may have been some sort of action that needed to be taken, but more recently, you don't have to. We don't. The government here does not actually take an action. The sanctions are adopted by the UK, and those sanctions are then effectively enforceable in Cayman against whatever assets or whatever individuals those sanctions are designed to attach to. So it happens it happens automatically. We have to just make sure. And I'm here by myself, so I would have to leave you to go turn the light on. I'm not going to bother to do that. I think we have enough light, right?
Yeah, no, you still look good. Sometimes less light is actually better. No, you're getting enough off the computer screen, so not a problem.
So it's basically an automatic implementation here, and the government here doesn't actually have to take any action other than making sure that that any sort of service providers that have assets to which the sanctions relate, or are doing business with individuals or companies to which the sanctions relate, actually make sure that those sanctions are being implemented, those assets are being frozen, and they cease doing business with those individuals or those companies. Does it impact Cayman? Yes, it may do, but it would impact us a lot more if we did not step up as a part of the global family of countries and states, and do what is appropriate, and that is support a position which reflects the global geopolitical view on this issue. We do have we probably have some aircraft that are registered here. We probably have, meaning private aircraft. We probably have some yachts, some super yachts, maybe even some commercial vessels that are registered here. But these things will apply to them. There are many other territories. Bermuda, for example, has something like 900 commercial Russian aircraft on their register, and those sanctions automatically apply to those as well. So this is not something that we take lightly, and it's not something that we feel that we are being forced to do. This is something that we feel as a country, a responsible country, a responsible player in the international business arena. This is something we just have to do. We have to go along with. We have to support.
All right, we do have a caller. I believe her credit finished, so we're going to give her a call back. So, folks, just a reminder that as we prepare to go on air in the coming weeks, we have set up a phone so that now you can call through a traditional phone line as well. So let's go back to Cindy, who had, let me make sure I unmute that. I got a whole board set up here, Premier. New fandangle things going on in the studio. Hi, Cindy.
Good night, Miss Sandy.
Yeah,
Good
sorry we
night,
had you
Mr.
on call
Panton.
for a minute there.
Hello,
On hold,
Cindy.
sorry.
Mr. Panton, I act like I'm okay, but deep down inside, I want to go to war for Ukraine.
You want to support Ukraine?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that's all perfectly understandable.
Yeah, it's
you know,
sad to watch. I was watching
it
a
is.
little bit of the news earlier, and it just is heartbreaking to
Yeah.
see the reality of what's happening to the people there. I mean, they're trying to leave their homes. Some of them have nowhere to go. They have no idea, where they're going to end up. Kids are being impacted. It's just, I mean, I sit there and tears well up in my eyes because it's unbelievable the
Yes,
destruction
it
of the
is. It
bombs
is
and
really sad. It is really sad, but I must applaud their president. Like, he stand with his people. A lot of presidents around the world would have done abandon their people, but he
yeah.
stand there with them.
And he had an opportunity to
with
leave,
it.
and he told them no. He was going to stay because they are trying to. I saw today and another report that there was an assassination attempt on him, and they're advising him to get out of the country, and he's saying no. If he's asking people to stay and fight, then he's going to do the exact same thing. And interestingly
That
enough,
is
they've actually
awesome.
had non-Ukrainians, people who are there visiting in that country, who are likewise standing and fighting with the people of Ukraine. Like, they could leave. They have a passport to go elsewhere. And they're saying, you know what, we're going to stand with Ukraine as well. So the response has been amazing and supportive of Ukraine. Today, the vote, I think, was 141-5 in the United Nations, which is a significant number in favor of, them supporting Ukraine. So anything else on your mind since we've got the premiere? By the way, Cindy, you are the first caller on Premier Access. So thank you so much for calling in with Premier Panton this evening.
Well, thank you very much.
I couldn't think of a better person to be the first one,
He
Cindy.
is in my prayers, his family, everyone. I pray that God guides, care, and protect you all and comfort you guys in these hard times. And keep being awesome.
Awesome. Sounds good. Keep being awesome. That's good advice. Cuba Libre says yes for Senor Panton, live Panton. I think that's a good thing. Thank you, Cindy.
Bye.
Cindy, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, that was wonderful. Catherine says, Mr. Panton, I need an appointment with you regarding my father, please and thank you. Catherine, okay. We'll make a note of that.
Absolutely.
And Cameron says it may affect us. Yes, there is hope at the end of the tunnel. So, well, thank you.
That's a very. I mean, I guess the point being made there is what I said earlier, that it may affect us. Of course, I was talking about the potential for the sanctions to have some sort of blowback on us, and our actions in supporting the sanctions having some sort of blowback in some way.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible. But of course, there are many other ways in which the current geopolitical instability could impact us, and that was one of the things I mentioned, as I said earlier, in my initial press statement on that. Whenever you have a situation where you have the second largest oil producer, which we're trying to get away from, we need to get away from in terms of a source of energy, and you also have a country like Ukraine, which also has significant natural resources. Whenever you have that sort of instability, you end up having price volatility, and that is any kind of geopolitical instability causes it. But certainly, when you have big players that are involved, you're going to have price instability, price volatility, and it means effectively that our cost of living ends up going up, at least temporarily. Now, we're trying to push back on this. We have a national energy policy which aims for us to achieve renewable energy at around 70% of our total energy needs by 2037. Obviously, we're behind in relation to that, and I have made some reappointed or changed the board. I've made some changes, and obviously the ministry brings a new focus in trying to accelerate that. And at the very least, we can try to introduce some stability in our energy costs through renewable energy, in addition to getting all the benefits of having, shedding the carbon load on that our current energy production generates. So yeah, it's the impacts on us. We haven't seen the end of it yet. We felt some of it, and the longer this goes on, the more we are going to feel some additional impacts. And these are things that we've got a government, I think, has to spend more time trying to figure out ways to mitigate those sort of impacts. We have, in the U.S., they have had inflation running at a 3-decade high, and what that has led to is, as it would with many central banks around the world that are experiencing it, that has led to their Federal Reserve, which is their central bank, proposing to accelerate increases in interest rates. Now, when we increase the interest rates, or when they increase the Federal Reserve rate, that effectively causes an increase in our base rate here in Cayman as well, because the banks here tie their cost of borrowing money to that, and they every time the U.S. increases, within a week or two, Cayman banks will follow suit and increase our prime rate here in Cayman. Now, to be honest, one of the changes I want to implement is requiring them to delay any rate changes, because the U.S., there's always speculation about when they're going to change the rate, and you never know until they do it. You never know. You don't know exactly what it is until they do it. And if our Cayman banks here change the rate a week or 2 weeks after that, that is very little notice. That may reflect a significant increase in costs in terms of mortgages or other loans to our consumers here. And we get very little notice of it. To be honest, what I'd like to do is do what other territories and states who are similarly placed do, and that is require a delay of about 3 months. So they have to give like 3 months notice before the banks increase the rates. Now, that will have a minimal impact on them, but it at least puts our consumers in a position where they have a chance at least of making some adjustments in their expenditure and what they're spending money on, and they at least know that there's going to be an impact on their cost of living that will come 3 months later, and they can make those adjustments if they can. Some of them, to be honest, won't be able to, but some will, and it's important that we put as many people as possible in the position to make those adjustments to accommodate the changing circumstances.
I mean, I'm looking at the price increase, and I always wonder, how do they increase the prices so quickly? Do we not have fuel reserves? There was something that was posted for Cayman Brac, and we shared this earlier, where they're basically saying that we're going from pure 93 is going to increase from 25 cents. Hold on, now there's more than one here. So one goes up by, looks like 25 cents, and then 10 cents on the other side. And then we've got the actual pricing. So from 5.33 up to 5.60. How did that happen so fast? It's literally been a week. Do we not have any degree of fuel reserves that can kind of cushion us against, these types of events, which will happen, that will force the prices to go up? CUC, I guess by the next bill, we're going to already see this. I'm just going to show the fuel adjustment here in case you guys missed this, but this is what someone shared earlier today. And of course, we know if this is Cayman Brac, we're going to see the exact same thing here as well. And this takes effect tomorrow. It's crazy. Is there anything that we can do, Premier, to
Well, I
help?
mean, it's difficult for us as a country to do something. The regulator, which is OFREG, do have some tools through which they can I wouldn't say necessarily change the fact that price increases happen because fuel is a commodity, and
Mhm.
whenever the price goes up, um, the final cost, and what's charged for the commodity goes up. Um, it doesn't. Most people complain about the fact that it doesn't come down anywhere near as quickly as it goes up when the price goes the other way.
All
And
right.
obviously, that's just price stickiness. That's what happens.
Mhm.
It'll go up a lot quicker than it'll come down. The U.S., for example, have reserves that are maintained by the by the federal government, and they're able to release certain amount of reserves to impact the supply that's available in the market, and they can have an impact on the price of the commodity by modifying the level of the supply. We are not in that position. Obviously, we don't have a tank farm with reserves of fuel, and neither should we. I think, to be frank, we're not in the 1970s anymore, and
Mhm.
we ought to be moving away from fossil fuel as fast as we can, and moving into renewable energy, which is going to be far more far more affordable and will have far less volatility.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so we've got a few questions. And by the way, folks, just as an FYI, we are going to be ending the program in another 15 minutes. It's been a tough week for everyone, and we are also aware that today is a public holiday. So we're grateful for the premiere coming on for half an hour, and then week after next, we'll get back to our usual 2 hour segment. But we do have a question. Someone is wondering whether or not there'll be an extension of the pension holiday past March the 31st. I think the current holiday will be expiring then. It's been going on for, gosh, has it been probably 2 years already? Do you guys see any extensions? Are there any discussions on that?
We haven't had the discussion yet. I suspect that there would be support for a further extension, but obviously I can't guarantee that, because we do recognize that we are we are just now getting into a position where um, the tourism industry is starting to pick up a lot of steam on the stayover side,
Mhm.
um, and um, we also now have the prospect of having cruise restart in Cayman before the end of this month, and I think that's moving us in a positive direction. This is not about trying to turn the taps open as wide as we can. We're also working on a cruise strategy that would see us having a more sustainable approach to cruise tourism, and generally a more sustainable approach to tourism overall, and one which would also see our Caymanians, whether they're employees, or whether they're operators known as a businesses, actually being in a better position as well, owning more, earning more from it. So we want the quality to be better, and we want the end result for our Caymanian our Caymanians who work in the business and who own businesses that operate within the industry, to end up in a better position.
Mhm.
So we are moving in that direction, but we also know that there are still it's not a linear approach. There are fits and starts. It is going to be somewhat erratic at times before it smooths out more. So we are trying to make sure that we continue to provide some support as we move along, and I think that would probably continue at least until the middle of the year, if not further into the third quarter. But obviously, these are things that we will continue to have on the discussion, and we don't intend to just make decisions off the cuff. We intend to assess properly through speaking with the businesses, relevant business sectors, as well as gathering empirical data, so that we know exactly what's happening. We know what it looks like, what the experiences are, and where the weaknesses are, and what we have to continue to support. Obviously, for government, it's going to be better for us if they are able to earn themselves, and we have to support them less and less. But as I said, we realize that's not necessarily going to be a smooth acceleration or a smooth transition, and there will be areas where we have to continue to support.
And speaking of that, I mean, we can't have you on the program without acknowledging your role in trying to get the tourism stipend situation sorted over the past really couple weeks. We know that last week you had to meet with some of those individuals and really push to have that resolved. Do we have any assurances that next month, people who are continuing to get the stipend or those who are on the transition program will have timely payments and, not the hassle that they had this last time? I recognize that this was the first time, I believe, that the Ministry of Finance was dealing with it. Yeah. So perhaps there were some growing pains shifting it over from tourism. What sort of mitigation has been put in place to ensure a better payment process coming in this month?
So, we are very clear now on what the causes were for the delays and the problems that people experienced. And yes, I did go and meet with a group downstairs who were expressing their concerns, expressing their frustration, and I fully understood where they were coming from, and I didn't blame them at all for being there. I never ever criticize anybody who is expressing a legitimate concern in a rational way. What I don't like is for people to come in and using expletives and causing a negative impact on everybody else. But certainly, I'm not going to run away from anybody who is having a problem caused by a mistake that we have made. And the transition did not happen smoothly. We understand that, and that has been accepted and admitted. We will learn from that and make sure it doesn't happen again. I got an update on yesterday afternoon, and my understanding is that everybody that were supposed to be paid did receive their payments. There were some additional people who represented that body of people who had not responded originally to the survey. Some of them have come back and responded, and those are being sorted out now as well. And that is, I think that puts us in a good position where at least I can feel happier that people who really need their the support have gotten it now. And I apologize for the errors and the interruptions and the inconvenience that occurred previously. It's not something that we were trying to achieve at all. We were trying to do the opposite. We're trying to help people. But it's one of those process situations where the wrong approach was taken with it, and it just created an issue for us. But all of us in government have a very clear idea of how we want to help people, and this was not our finest moment, but it was certainly not something that we were trying to achieve, and we're sorry about it. And I think we have made it up to the people, and we're going to try to ensure, and trust me, there are going to be a lot more eyes looking at this at the next payment to make sure it happens properly, and that we minimize or eliminate completely any issues or restrictions.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Cameron is asking about CUC, if there's any possibility of restructuring this current CUC deal. I don't know what the terms of that is, but I think it's probably a lot longer than where we are right now. It wasn't that long ago that it was actually redone, so I doubt it's already up for renewal.
Yeah, it isn't right now, but you know, we we are obviously continuing to have discussions in the context, as I said, of renewable energy. So you know, it is not impossible that there may be some additional discussions, but in terms of a framework for the discussions on the issues identified by Cameron, no, that is not on the table right now.
Mm-hmm. And we couldn't possibly talk about renewable energy and sustainability without recognizing that Mount Trashmore remains a very topical issue. Funny enough, yesterday afternoon, I was passing there and I saw the fire trucks up on the hill, and I thought, another surface fire, something else that those poor fire officers are fighting to try to keep under control. And then late last night, we got the official word from GIS that they were monitoring another hotspot that had flared up, and they're continuing, I think, into tonight to just kind of keep a watchful eye. They had an uneventful night, which was good.
Yep.
But where are we with I drove down there today to kind of take a look and get a little photo for our update, and my daughter said, "Oh, there's a beach right over that mountain." She doesn't know what that is, so she thinks it's some kind of fancy mountain. She's like, "Oh, on the other side there's a beach," and I'm thinking, no, honey child, there's more garbage. When she is an adult, I don't want her looking at that. Where are we with this? I mean, it just seems, are we getting
Yeah.
anywhere?
So I mean, it's obviously, um, I don't think anybody should ever be in a position where they could legitimately question certainly my commitment or our commitment to transparency.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, there are times when you can't just when you're having sensitive discussions about things, sensitive negotiations, you can't just lay it all out on the
Right.
table. Um, there are we continue to have negotiations. To be honest, if we go back to the starting point in March, where the previous government signed the agreement, there was an expectation contemplated in the agreement that a number of other agreements would be finalized by September 30th. And there was a concept called the financial close. To be honest, that was never going to happen. That was an unrealistic expectation. And that is certainly being reflected in reality. And we are continuing to have a discussion and negotiations with the other parties. Government has not taken the position that it is not something that we want to do. But we have taken the position that we needed to ensure that we had a very clear picture and we're very clear-eyed about what the overall cost was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So when this project first began, there was an RFP done, and then shortly after the RFP was responded to, and the bidders were ultimately confirmed as to who won. There were negotiations going on subsequent to that around the question of affordability, and they started de-scoping, removing certain elements of the project. And I'm talking specifically about what happens with the refuse or trash in Cayman Brac, and what happens in Little Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot do justice to my job, to my role as a minister, to my role as a representative of the people of this country. I cannot do justice to them um, when I don't know what the overall costs are going to be, when all these projects, all of these services have to be provided. So
Mhm.
what the previous government seemed to be doing it for some time was negotiating without having a clear idea of the overall cost, because they had sort of de-scoped a lot of elements of it.
Mm.
And I understand why they were trying to do that. But the approach that we're taking is one which I think is puts us in a better position of knowing exactly what it's going to cost to deal with the trash and the garbage from Cayman Brac, from Little Cayman. You know, what was contemplated was that we would remediate the landfill in Cayman Brac, remediate the landfill in Little Cayman, and that all refuse would be collected and shipped by barge over to Grand Cayman. Well, okay, so what is the cost of the remediation? What is the cost of shipping, collecting, and shipping? What is our current budget overall? Um, and then we can factor in the costs of the regen project. And then we must look at it overall and say, well, is this something that the country can afford over a 25 or 30-year period?
Mhm.
And once we have satisfied ourselves with that, then we can make a decision very clearly about whether this is a good thing to do or not. So far at this point, our decision has been that we're moving forward with these discussions because there's very little opportunity for options at this point.
Mhm.
Um, but time, that may change over time. I don't know, but um, we are very clearly trying to make sure that we're fair in presenting options to all of my colleagues, so that I'm in a position and they're in a position to have a full appreciation of the overall cost of dealing with trash in the country, and
Mhm.
how what each component costs, and how much of a proportion of the overall cost it represents. So we're going to be taking that back to caucus very shortly,
Mhm.
and we're going to be very clear about what the overall costs are, and we'll have a very clear idea, I think, from various ministries, including obviously importantly the finance ministry, um, what the impact is on government's finances, what the projected impact is, and whether it's something that you know we're very comfortable with. I think we probably will be, but it is fair for us to have full information, full knowledge before going ahead and making a decision. Because at the end of the day, this is going to be the subject of. It's already been the subject of reviews by the Auditor General. Um, it is going to, no doubt, like any major project, be the subject of a further Auditor General's review, and we want to make sure that we have done what we need to do in order to get the best possible result for the country. I certainly don't want to have an General's report which says that we were deficient or we failed in some way to address certain gaps or mitigate certain risks. And it is difficult to have these discussions publicly about an issue like this, which is very expensive. There is a lot of sensitivity. There are a lot of international players, and yes, we're committed to it, but we it's very difficult to have open conversations about it
Mhm.
without running the risk of upsetting somebody.
Right.
So I have to then accept that there are people who will say, and whether it's on social media or whether it's in the media, the mainstream media, who will say, well, you're not being transparent, and you're not saying anything about this, and you've been very quiet about it. Well, sometimes you have to be quiet by choice, you know. Um, but we are getting to a point where there will be further information available, and I want to be in a position that the people of the country will say, yes, okay, we understand. We understand why you're doing this. We understand what's involved with this. We understand the impacts. At the end of the day, the country has to pay, has to be able to afford, and has to pay for it.
And listen, it's not cheap. I mean, I've read more than one article and listened to more than one podcast. The concept of recycling sounds really wonderful, but when it comes to cost, it is something that you're going to have to be prepared to spend a lot of money on. But guess what? It's already 8:33, folks. Premier Panton, thank you so much for joining us for another Premier Access segment. We're going to see you again in 2 weeks' time, and we'll get back to our regular 2 hours at that particular time. Cameron is making some comment. Cameron, sometimes you confuse me. I'm not sure what this one is about, but it says CCTV future contracts need to be put to bid, and CMR should be the first for consideration. We're not in that business, although we seem to know everything that's going on.
Cameron needs to understand there that that's a bit contradictory. Yeah. So yeah, but any sort of anything that government is acquiring, what the rules are around government contracts.
Yes.
There is a very clear procurement process. Anybody with a conflict has to declare the conflict and stay out of it. Ministers. Our job as ministers, our job as government is to make a decision. Our policy decision is we want to buy this or we want to buy that. And you can also say we want to buy it in this quantity or that quantity. We can also say we don't want to pay any more than this or whatever. What you cannot do is get involved. You cannot try to lobby. You cannot try to influence the process. It is one which the law requires must be done by the government, by the civil service. They deal with it. The chief officers have a lot of authority in that respect. Once we've made the decisions from a policy perspective, it goes forward. I have certainly not been involved, and I've never seen any of the stuff in relation to procurements since we've been in office until after after the fact, after it's already been awarded and stuff. So that's the way it should be. That's the way it must be to ensure that we eliminate the possibility or potential for conflict of interest or any kind of corruption. But yeah, we've had some really interesting discussions tonight. I'm sorry we're going to cut it short. Obviously, when I come back next time, we'll make sure we have a very clear, broad agenda, and ensure that we cover a lot of the issues.
We've got Loretta, by the way, who says that she needs to make an appointment with you. So Loretta, I'm sure the Premier's people are watching, and they will reach out to you if you want a private message or best contact number. We'll make sure that they get that as well. Lorna says, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to answer some of the people's concerns and questions. And yes, thank you so much, Premier Panton.
Obviously, a pleasure, as always, to be here, and always a pleasure to talk to the people of the country. So I want to say I hope everybody has had a wonderful day today, wonderful Ash Wednesday. Obviously, we didn't have the usual agriculture show, so we missed that. But I hope everybody really enjoyed themselves and had a great day. And please have a wonderful evening and come back, and we'll finish up the rest of the week and have a great, safe, wonderful weekend as well. Thank you again for joining us.
Okay, wonderful, folks. So thank you again, Premier Panton. We appreciate it, folks. Tune in tomorrow morning. We do have some sort of breaking situation. Seems like the helicopter is up, and a few people are messaging about that in the Lookout Garden area. So remember, earlier today, we had some indications that something was happening in the area. We just couldn't get a quick fix on it. Now we're hearing that the helicopter's up either close to the prison or Lookout Gardens in the Boddentown vicinity. So as we hear more, we will certainly post it and let you guys know what that's all about. So to Cameron's point, we've got eyes and ears everywhere. We just need to sort of suss out exactly what is happening, folks. So do stay tuned. Thank you. Joanna says, thank you, Premier. We love you. Sending some good support there. And again, Lorna is saying, very nice of you. Thanks again. The show was informative. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Again, happy Ash Wednesday. Tune in tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. to kick off our daily The Cold Hard Truth. And I'll go and have a look at that video now, making some decisions about it. We'll decide what we're going to do with it here in a jiffy. Until tomorrow, you guys have a wonderful evening.